has a divine call. I'm not talking about an earthly call. I'm talking about a divine call. That Israel is to represent the Most High. But if you don't understand your calling and you begin to play along with other nations, then that's why you find yourself in bondage. So understand that Israel has a divine call. We'll deal with that in a minute. But when we look at Genesis chapter 12, we see that the calling came or was answered by our father Abraham. Am I right? Because if there's no Abraham, there's no Israel. We need to keep that in mind. So Abraham, according to Romans chapter 4, verse 13, he's the father of us all. Keep in mind, because Israel has a divine call, but there was a process. You see, we need to understand that Israel is not like any other nation.
No. Right.
Israel is not like the nations around them. But we can see in the text as we begin to study and look that our forefathers forgot their divine call. And when a people forget their divine call, they will end up in bondage. They will end up doing different things that has nothing to do with their calling. Now, we're going to see that though Israel is set up above all nations, but Israel is not to put their chest out like they're better than other nations. They have a divine call. They're not special because they have been called. No. That's part of it. But they're special because they have a divine call to represent the Most High on the earth. So keep that in mind as we go through our study, because if House of Study lose their divine call to restore the body of Messiah, they will end up playing church. See, a divine call, listen, you have to understand that the call that we have is not to mingle with other churches to try to compromise. You come to our feast, we'll come to your Easter. You come to our Hanukkah, we'll come to your Christmas. No, we don't compromise like that. So we have to keep that in mind. So when we gather together, that the call or the divine call has already went out. We just now catching up with it. So when we look into the scripture and it says that our purpose statement is to restore the body of Messiah, that was the purpose of Israel. That the nations have fought. And so the Most High said, listen, I'm going to bring redemption to the nation. He said to my father Abraham in Genesis chapter 12, he said, I will call you and you will be a blessing. You will be a blessing. And by you, Abraham, that all nations shall be blessed. Think about that. That's a high calling right there. That is a divine assignment right there. That Israel has the king of the universe behind them. So we need to understand that as we are awakening in this so-called Hebrew Israelites, all these titles, but we need to understand that when we awaken, we have to understand that we must be awakened to our mission. So our mission is to restore the body of Messiah. If we're not going to do that, then we done lost our mission. So when we are having celebration and feasts and all this thing is to restore the body of Messiah. So if you don't understand the mission, you're going to be missing in action. You're going to see it as a burden. You see what I'm talking about? So we have to understand that once we all awaken to this divine mission, that means that we got to put our hand to the plow and go to work. So this divine calling has not left us. We're being awakening now. So that's why when we meet on the Shabbat, which is a feast, how many people know that the Shabbat is a feast? So that means that when you are coming together, we are celebrating a Moedim. We are representing the king on the earth before everybody around here. Now keep that in mind. So now when we look at Genesis chapter 12, you don't have to turn there because I'm just going to work this thing. We see the calling of Abraham. Very important. The calling. Okay, the call. Many are called, but few are. Okay, so Yah is calling you out of the world. You are responding just like our father Abraham. And then we have in the text that we see the calling of Abraham. Then we see that Abraham is blessed with a son, which we know is Isaac, right? Watch this here. Because the foundation of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob is the foundation of the whole Bible. If you don't get that, then what you're going to do is begin to allow someone in the future to insert people that's called the church fathers. Huh? I'm telling you, that's how that happened. Because we don't forgot the fathers. So listen, I think I'm talking to Bible students here. So every time that Yah spoke to Moses, he said, you go tell them the God of their father, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He never quoted C.S. Lewis or Martin Luther. Am I right? So we have to understand who we are and the divine calling that's on our life. I'm telling you. So as we trace this here, as we trace that, I show you or talked about that when you look at Genesis, very important, because you're not going to understand that once we get to Exodus, that when he say Moses, tell Pharaoh to let my people. Now what we want to do is throw everybody in there. We'll see that as they came out of Egypt, it was a mixed multitude. So when we hear that if my people are called by his people already been established in Genesis. You see what I'm talking about? My people destroyed for. You already got a people, but when we allowed the Greeks in the Western to teach our text, they put everybody in there. Yah so loved the world, that's why he raised up Israel to be a redemption of the world. Very important. So that's why the book seemed like it's so complicated, because we done threw everybody in there and forgot who was called to represent the Most High on the earth for redemption. So just like now, if we come in here and we ought to be part of the redemption, restoring mankind. That's our mission. It's not change. It's restore. That's what it is. It's a process. Why? Because we're dealing with the Baal system. It's not going to happen overnight. So when people think that, listen, Abraham, our father, he traveled from Ur to all the way to Canaan over 1,500 miles. No bus, no plane. And you tired of walking? And if you've been to Israel, he's about hills and valleys. Bigger than this building, huh? Hills and valleys. Traveling. I was talking to my wife, I said, traveling. Listen, he's traveling along the Euphrates and Tiger River. He got children, he got cattle, he got all these people. How many times do you think they stop? And the smaller your tribe is, the more dangerous it is. So definitely you want to recruit. That's why I said Abraham, everywhere he went, he was recruiting. Think about that. In Isaiah 51, it says what? Look unto who? Abraham, our father, and Sarah, our mother. It's telling us who to look to as the pattern, as the example. You are the seed of Abraham. Oh, we're going to get to some verses in a minute. But I want y'all to understand that House of Study has a divine assignment, just as Israel, our forefather, have to restore the body of Messiah. We're not just here just because we like each other. We're here for a divine assignment. We cannot fall so in love with each other that we forget our divine assignment. And religion people ain't going to like this. Because why? Because the kingdom is about work. The kingdom is about work. We have to understand that. Let's look at a few verses. Go to Romans for me. Romans chapter 15, verse 4. It's so much that has to be undone to even teach certain things. I'll tell you, I mean, I'm not saying it's hard to teach, but I'm saying our mind, Pastor, it would take us another 300 years to really grasp this stuff. You don't even know how much religion has damaged us. This book is not a religion book. It's a book about a people and their God. It's a kingdom book. It's a kingdom book. But because we have been damaged by democracy and religion and republic, we say, well, ain't nobody telling me what to do. See, well, you don't understand kingdom. You know what I'm talking about? So now think about that. This is the kingdom book. Our God is a king. We are his offspring, his children, and he gives us orders. He don't ask our permission. He don't say, well, what y'all want to eat? What y'all want to celebrate? Are you hearing me? The king don't act. Listen, Moses, as great as Moses is, when he came to build the tabernacle, he said, well, Moses, what you think? He gave Moses a blueprint, and the people had to trust that Moses wasn't on the mountain smoking. They had to come down and trust that Moses heard from Yah. Verse 4. Watch this here.
15 verse 4. For whatsoever things are written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope.
Now notice he's teaching here, but this is very important right here, because he said the things that are written. Now, when he's quoting this here or writing this here, there's no Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. None of that. The Tanakh. So he said, listen, once everything was written a long time ago, was written for you and I. So it's like, listen, it's like an open book text. And we still flunk it. That's why we want to play with religion. It's an open book text. It's like a people, Mark and Garvey said, a people without an identity is like a tree without no roots. You're going to jump onto anything that comes along. You already know who walk like that. I mean, you'll fly for everything. That's why you don't know who you are. You're trying to find out something that's, you know what I'm saying? I like this. I like this. You don't know who you are. That's what has damaged us. But this is written to teach us. It's in the scriptures. Thou hast known. Let's look at another one. Let's go to 2 Timothy chapter 3. We'll pick it up in verse 15. Everything that we're supposed to do, guys, is in the scriptures. Israel have there the divine assignment, how to celebrate, how to eat, how to do all these things. We don't have to go to the Bible bookstore and buy a book. How to live a good Christian life. It's in the book. How to honor, your wife. It's in the book. Don't cheat on her. Don't commit adultery. Don't lie to her. Love her as Christ loved the church. Come on, what's complicated about this? We make it hard. And I believe that they make it hard so you can keep coming to them. We got pastors just like Dr. Phil. What do you mean? Oh, they want you to always come to them. He says, listen, your problem is obedience, not the devil. But they want you to keep coming to them to make them feel like the Pharisee. They love to hear their name. Rabbi! Pharisee, love. You know what I'm saying? Love people. Listen, some people love that. Love to be called pastor and rabbi and deacon so and so. People love that stuff. They got self-esteem problem. The only time they feel like they're somebody is when they're standing up here. Go ahead. 2 Timothy 3. Let's pick it up in verse 15.
Yes, sir. Verse 15. And that from a child thou hast known the holy scriptures, which are able to make thee wise unto salvation through faith, which is in Yeshua HaMashiach. All scriptures is given by inspiration of Elohim, and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness, that the man of Elohim may be perfect, thoroughly furnished unto all good works.
Other words, anything that's going on in our life, in our community, it can be corrected from this word.
Yes.
Don't y'all understand that as we get to these verses, as Moses say, name a people, not a person, but name a people that has heard the voice of Yah as you have and live it. Name a people that has a Torah such as yours.
Yeah.
Listen, this is a divine. This book is divine. But we have made it a religion. This is the problem. We have to embrace this as a covenant people. This book helps us to keep peace in the community. This book shows that that teaches us that if me and Mike has an issue, then I go to him.
Yes, sir.
This book say if you see your enemy animal in the hole, you can't even pass by. You gotta help him.
Yes, sir.
Are you hear me? You gotta help him. Why? Because God is he's using an animal to bring y'all back connection. Because why? Me, Mike, I gotta strategize how we gonna get this out. Now we ain't been talking for months, right? But because I know what Torah says, I'm like, okay, now we talking. All of a sudden, God is using an animal to get us back together. And it's a master around here. It's a master around here. It's a masterpiece. Cell phones have messed us up too. Because why? Instead of going to that person, you call them. That ain't it. Go face them.
Face.
Anybody text thinking it's better texting. No, go face them. Texting somebody, I don't want to talk to you no more. What kind of stuff? That's not kingdom. Divine word. Now watch this here. Let's travel for a moment. Let's travel for a moment. I want to look at some verses for a moment to show you what I'm talking about. And then we're going to go back and forward. But what I want you to think about is Israel, divine call. It has not changed. It has not changed. Look at a few verses here. Let's go to the book of Isaiah. The book of Isaiah, right quick. Let's move. See how many we can run through. But as we're talking, as I'm talking, as we turn it, think about the divine call. 41, chapter 41. See, because I'm assuming that I don't have to do so much work, because when we get to the text, we know who name was Yaakov, and he was changed. His name was changed to Israel. So that's why I ain't working so hard to do all that. I'm assuming that you done read your portions, right? You read your portion. You know whose name was changed. But if you would have asked us back in the day, what's the difference between Jacob and Israel? What we would have said, oh, Jacob is and Israel is that. No, they the same. But we didn't know that, right? We didn't know that. Let's be honest. Okay, verse 8. Divine assignment.
Verse 8. But thou, Israel, art my servant, Jacob, whom I have chosen, the seed of Abraham, my friend.
Notice this here. Now we understand, because we don't have to go through all the details of the birthright and how the name. We know how the name Jacob, being a heel catcher, he's not a deceiver. Esau said that. But we know that the name changed, and we even know how his name got changed. On the run, wrestling with a man unknown. Think about that. How Jacob's name got changed in the process of wrestling. Basically his character got changed. He found out something that he didn't even know he had in him. Think about that. This is some real stuff. We can look at our documents and say, we know how we came up with the name Yisrael. And the simple form, for those that take it no strong, you can write 3477, but the root word is 3478, means Yasa or Yasra, means upright, means straight. So the root word of Israel it means to walk straight. So we just can't carry the name Israel, but I'm walking crooked. This is powerful right here. Israel have a divine assignment. But he said, but thou Israel, Yaakov, Israel, my servant. Notice that, a servant. Israel was to serve the Most High before the whole world. Go ahead. Abraham, my friend.
Verse 9. Thou whom I have taken from the ends of the earth, and called thee from the chief men thereof, and said unto thee, thou art my servant. I have chosen thee and not cast thee away.
Notice that. I have chosen Israel. How do we know that? From Genesis. We have to know our homework. Why? Because as we begin to look at Exodus and Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, and the prophet, we'll understand that Israel got sidetracked. Israel forgot their divine assignment. And I'm going to tell you, when the people forget their divine assignment, they'll end up marrying people they shouldn't, end up doing things they shouldn't be doing. You have to understand that you and I, if you're part of House of Study, you're part of Israel, you have a divine assignment. We don't have to guess why we're here. The purpose this building exists is to be a part of the redemption act of the Most High. But you can't redeem nobody if you ain't been redeemed. Let me say that again. Huh? You cannot redeem nobody if you have not been redeemed. You cannot talk about an encounter that you never had. Because why? Y'all going to put it to test. Watch this here. Let's look at chapter 44. Oh, I'm sorry, 43. Let's start at verse 18. 43:18. Israel, divine calling.
Verse 18. Remember ye not the former things, neither consider the things of old. Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall ye not know it? I will even make a way in the wilderness and the rivers in the desert. The beasts of the field shall honor me, the dragons and the fowl and the owls, because I give waters in the wilderness and rivers in the desert to give drink to my people, my chosen. This people have I formed for myself. They shall show forth my praise.
Notice this here. He keep trying to listen. He keep trying to tell Israel who they are. So now that we are discovering in the 21st century who we are, people say, no, you're not. If when the text say in Galatians 3:29, if you be in Christ or the Mashiach, you're Abraham's seed. Abraham's seed according to the promise. So whether you're black, white, Chinese, if you say that Mashiach is your savior, redeemer, you're part of Israel. We're not to separate ourselves. We are a community of Israel. So he said, I have formed these people for divine service. See, we get to look into the text and we have the whole counsel of Yah, but they didn't. Abraham was not packing around no King James. He heard what Yah say go, and he went. And he didn't stop unless he heard stop. See, we think that we keep needing the word every week. We don't need no word every week. Just obey what he's saying. All this new, I need a new word. Okay, I'm going to show you something here. When the text says that when our forefathers in Genesis chapter 16, with Sarah, look, good ideas. Y'all know how y'all ladies can come up with some good ideas? With the, hey, God. And really, it was a good idea because you had to understand that that was culture thing. But y'all said, yeah, that might be, but I don't do it like that. It might be culture for men and women, you know, man and man to marry each other, but y'all say, I don't do that. Huh? It might be culture, but y'all say, but it ain't part of my culture. So we see that Hagar, Abraham and Sarah, they come up with a little plot. 10 years had passed by, good idea. That tells us that we have to be very careful not to use something from the culture to try to advance the kingdom.
All right.
It might be a good idea. 10 points how to grow a church. 10 points how to win souls. All these things. Like we the Ruach Kadesh. When the text said that no man can come to the Father except the draw down. So we see, very important. This always just blow my mind. Say, so after Genesis chapter 16, that Abraham had Ishmael, 86, and it's almost like Yah just went silent. And the next time that Abraham hear from him, or Abram hear from him, let's turn to Genesis chapter 17. Hear from him. It was 13 years later. I wonder what I would have did in the silence, because in my journey, y'all was speaking to me. And the word of Yah came to Abraham, and the word of Yah came to Abraham. Then all of a sudden, now there was a boo-boo in the road. Now, but I love what the text says. Oh, I got it. My computer done died on me, but that's okay. Why did it die on me? Genesis chapter 17. I'm gonna show you something. Okay. Okay. See what happened when you lose the power? Something, ain't nothing wrong with you. You just disconnected from the power. You ain't in all the way. That's a good word. Now, listen, I want you to think about this here, guys. I want you to think about this here. I want you to think about this here, because we easy can say Abraham and Sarah could have easily begin to blame each other. And you have to understand the biblical text. And I have to continue to emphasize this here. The text is not written like a poetry, like Homer and America, right? It's not written in order. So don't be thinking like that. Stop thinking like that. It's not. These things, Paul said, whatsoever things are written. So in other words, he's saying, don't worry about what's not written. This is enough. That's why John said, listen, I suppose if all the acts of Yeshua was written down, I suppose not even the world take it. But these are written. The idiot will continue to have you chasing books. It's not in there. Book after book. No, this is not right here. You don't even know this book yet. But what about the apocalypse? What about the books in there? You don't even know this book. This is, I dealt with that. I'm like, man, chill. What about Enoch? What about Joshua? Chill. You don't know this book. And trying to get in another book. Indiana Jones, stop that. Now, watch this here. Because I want you to see the building of the nation. How that Yah took from one man. That's all, just one. Listen, all Yah needs is one. Because I would ask anybody, how many matches does it take to start a forest fire? Just one. So Yah just said, listen, he said he looked throughout the whole the earth, looking for a man. And when I speak of man, Yah said he made them male and female. They called them Adam. So don't get the tripping that when I'm saying man, I'm speaking as man, as mankind, how Yah made them male and female. Because I'm telling you, if there's a devil in the house, please come out. Hey, come on now. If we get scared, lady, y'all do y'all thing. Give them a glass of milk. Now, this is what I want you to see, because a lot of times that we get disappointed in ourselves that we made a decision, though it wasn't that bad, but then we begin to beat ourselves up. You see what I'm saying? I mean, how long do you think it took Abraham and Sarah to recover from this? Think about, the if. What if we wouldn't have, think about he had to tell this young man that he had to leave his son. And just think about the emotions. But I love what the text opened up in Genesis 17 says. Go ahead, verse 1.
And when Abram was 90 years old and 9, Jehovah appeared to Abram and said unto him, I am Almighty Elohim, El Shaddai, walk before me and be thou perfect.
Oh, wait, somebody tell me, what does, just off the top of your head, what does El Shaddai means? Enough? Okay. Sufficient? Okay. Come on, computer. Anybody else? Okay. Since it's taking so long, I'm gonna show you something here. At the translator, don't do it no justice. Okay. Now watch this here. Everything you said, right? El Shaddai, the breasted one, so on and so on. Huh?
Almighty.
Almighty. Okay, okay. That's a good one. I'm gonna show you something. It's much more than that. It's deeper. It's deeper than that. Okay. Phone number, if anyone doing this, is 706. Okay. Now watch this here. So we say Almighty, El Shaddai, the breasted one. Am I right? But I'm gonna show you something else. And I'm gonna show you what I mean. Hold on for a minute. It's gonna be worth it. Let me get here. It's gonna be worth it. Now, keep in mind that what Abraham is dealing with. Let me get here. Let me find this. So everything that you said is right. So I'm gonna show you something else, though. I'm gonna show you the root of the word. So now he tells Abraham. Remember, this text here. Now, the root word of the word, for those who are taking notes, is 7703. Okay? So this word does not mean breasted one. This word does not mean, a mighty one, a powerful one. This word literally means to spoil or to destroy. Wow. Why is he telling Abraham this here? It means to spoil. For the sake of time, you go look it up. It's strong number. The root is 7703. It means to spoil. It means to rob or to destroy. Okay? To oppress or to ruin. Listen what the text says. And when Abram was 99 years old, now remember, he just was silent for 13 years. That after 13 years that the Most High speaks to Abraham. And he said, and he appeared to Abram and said unto him, I am El Shaddai. What is he saying? Now, watch this here. What is he saying? Abraham, I got your back. Anyone touch you, I will destroy them. Huh? He's letting Abraham, I'm still fighting for you. Abraham ain't got to fight. He said, listen, he said, I'm telling you, this is what the word means. Spoil, destroy, utter ruin. He said, listen, that's who I am. I'm El Shaddai. I will ruin anybody. I will destroy them. He let Abraham know, I'm going to fight all your battles. That's a powerful word right there. But the King James don't translate it like that. Think about it. He telling Abraham from the beginning, I got you. Genesis chapter 15 said, I'm your shield. If the Most High is your shield, what can touch you? So he's telling Abraham over and over. And we love to quote scripture, know that he say, I never leave you nor forsake you. Then soon something happens, you panic. When that should say, listen, I am who? I'm with you. I will be with you for the end. He's telling us the same thing to Abraham, but soon something happened in our life, we panic. I never changed. God never changed. Well, why are we praying? Why are we tripping? Why are we panicking? Because we don't know him.
Come on, Pastor.
Those who know their God, y'all understand? We need to understand who the Creator is. He said, I will spoil them. And spoil like I go in the enemy camp and take his stuff and bring it back to you. So now he's telling Abraham, I think they probably need to see how these words are used here. Let's go to a few verses. I will waste you. It's used as waste. Y'all want to see a few verses?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's go here. We can go on. You got some?
They all right here.
Okay, go ahead. I'll let you choose one. I don't even care.
I look Job.
Okay.
Tabernacles of robbers.
Read a verse, give him a verse, and return so we can look. So when you see this word El Shaddai, look at the root. It means to ruin. It means to destroy. You talking about this nice guy? Yeah. Abraham, I will destroy them. So he's reminding him, remember I told you, he who blessed you, I will bless.
Oh, come on.
Huh? He will curse you, I will curse. Notice that he's trying to say, listen, he who pick on you, I got it.
Yes, man.
Vision is the most high. That's why we don't have to try to fight our battles. What you got?
Psalms 137, verse 8.
Mm-hmm.
O daughter of Babylon,
Mm-hmm.
who art to be destroyed,
Mm-hmm.
happy shall he be that rewardeth thee as thou hast served.
Mm.
And that was the word destroyed. That was
Destroy. See how that word El Shaddai? No. That means the root means to ruin, means to destroy. Then he says here that walk before me and be tamim or perfect. Tamim, meaning be innocent. Don't be front. It's the same word that's used for an animal. You bring your animal to the priest. Don't try to cover up if that they have blemishes in it. That's what he's saying. Don't try to walk with me and you know you got blemishes in your life. That's why I can see that stuff. Think about that. When they bring the sheep and you know the sheep has a disease, but the priest don't know that. And because the sheep has hair, is hiding. But you know this. See, think about that. You know it does. And knowing that a good priest would examine that. A good priest would examine that. So if I'm told by Paul or Shaul to present our body as a living sacrifice, I need to examine myself before I present my body. I'm about to sing. Examine yourself. I'm about to preach. I'm about to teach. I'm about to do music. Examine yourself, because the thing that we're doing is holy work. It's holy work. But if you take that which is divine and make it carnal, then you don't lost the fear of it. Very important. Now, in this text here that we see in Genesis chapter 17, we see a name change here. A name change from Abram to Abraham to Sarai to Sarah. And all he did was added the letter Hey, right? To look, behold. But notice that it wasn't a name change, it was just an elevation. So Abram go to a father, a father of multitude to father of nations. But it wasn't overnight though, Mike. His walk is right there. We can look at Abraham and Sarah, our mother, and like, okay, the text only records just one incident. But if the text will follow me, it filled up the whole book. See, we love to look into the text and look at what others have done, but how about if our texts are being written right now? Because the Bible said that we are epistles in the sight of man been written. Think about that. Our life are being recorded in the kingdom. What we have done, didn't do, should have done. And that's why the master can say that I will say to you, well done, thou good and faithful. Not by faithful on attending. I ain't missed church in 10 years. That ain't got nothing to do with that. Because the devil show up every week too. Come on now. All right. I mean, he covers. So we see a name change here. We see a elevation here. I want to bring out something else here. That as we get to notice this here, because Abraham got the covenant to be circumcision on the 8th day, right? On the 8th day. Well, Ishmael was circumcised when he was 13 years old. So to this very day, that's when they're circumcised, their children at 13. But being of the covenant is 8 days, which is a sign. Very important. Yah always give a sign to mankind. The rainbow is a sign, right? To all mankind. The Shabbat is a sign to Israel to keep the Shabbat. Circumcision and the feast, very important. So if we don't pay attention to signs, nothing else that Yah can do. Because he has given us signs to recognize these signs. I like what the text says in Genesis chapter 18 as we move forward. Let's read, start at verse 1.
18 verse 1. And Jehovah appeared unto him in the plains of Mamre, and he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day. And he lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo, 3 men stood by him. And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door and bowed himself toward the ground and said, My Lord, if now I have found favor in thy sight, pass not away, I pray thee, from thy servant. Let a little water, I pray you, be fetched, and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree. And I will fetch a morsel of bread, and comfort ye your hearts, after ye shall pass on.
Now, I love this text here because it reminds us of the writer of Hebrews says in Hebrews 13, 1 and 2, that don't be afraid to entertain strangers. And some have entertained angels. And so we can see one of the characteristics of our father Abraham, that he was always known as hospitality, you know what I'm saying? Helping each other, glass of water here, blah, blah, and so on and so on. I don't know why I say But we have to have that same attitude, guys, that when people come here, and I love what Karen and others who have, set up to make sure our guests, eat first, and then we just work it down with the elders and so on and so on. That's part of that. That's part of that spirit, not rushing to the table, but putting others before you. Amen. Very important that we keep that in mind, that when Israel is known to be a servant to the nation, even though the nations might not appreciate it, but that's not the point. Amen. We ought to be a servant to the hands of the Most High. Now, we know that at this time here is that this is around Passover time, because we see that cakes have been made in chapter verse 6. And you can verify that from Exodus chapter 12, verse 39, and Genesis chapter 19, verse 3. Now, that the Most High comes to him about a son. As he began to speak to them, I want to pick it up in verse 11.
Now, Abraham and Sarah were old and were stricken in age, and it ceased to be with Sarah after the manner of women. Therefore Sarah laughed within herself, saying, After I waxed old, shall I have pleasure, my Lord being old also? And Jehovah said unto Abraham, Wherefore did Sarah laugh, saying, Shall I of a surety bear a child which am old? Is anything too hard for Jehovah?
Now, just think about this incident, though, guys, because watch this important, because there's times in our journey that we can become lukewarm, begin to walk away, pursue our careers, and so on, because of what somebody prophesied over you, and it didn't come to pass. And you're gonna be doing this here. I see you writing a book. I see you doing this. Y'all know all the foolishness stuff. And people can get sidetracked in their journey and their walk. And then they can come to a place of an age and think that they have passed age of bearing a child. Now, for us, it could be at an age that you think that you can't produce fruit, meaning spiritual fruit. You see what I'm talking about? Because you can come to a place of age and you can look at the young people who got the energy and they up and moving and doing things. And there are times that you say, well, I'm just going to move out the way and let the young people do their thing. Because why? You think that y'all done pass you by because your age. Think about that. We cannot get American way of thinking that, listen, I'm going to work you to death, but I need to retire at 65. I'm through with you. Here's your watch. Here's your pension. That's how the world do, you know what I'm saying, use you up. Sacrifice your body on the football field, basketball, whatever, and they don't even call you. They have your agent call you. Think about that. So I want to encourage those that, up in wisdom, don't feel that life has passed you by and Yah is through with you. Think about that. They could have easily, it say well past. Read the verse again, well past.
And Jehovah said unto Abraham, Wherefore did Sarah laugh, saying, Of a surety
Verse 11 for me.
Verse 11. Now Abraham and Sarah were old and well stricken in age, and it ceased to be with Sarah after the manner of
The
women.
text wants you to know. How, now, watch this here. How this promise? It wasn't Sarah and Abraham ideal.
Right.
It was the Most High came to them and already knowing Genesis chapter 11 said, and Abraham's wife was Sarah. Oh yeah, by the way, she's barren. Just out of nowhere. So y'all could have picked anybody in the community that had a fertile ground. Did y'all get that? Pick somebody that had all the skills and just popping out babies like this here. Can't even touch her if she had a baby. No, they. But y'all didn't do that. Why? Because he's going to tell us later in Isaiah, look to Sarah, look to Abraham. You think that you pass? You think that you pass? You don't know who created the womb? Think about that. Doesn't matter if you made more boo-boo than Abraham and us. It doesn't matter about that. I love that y'all showed up 13 years later, but I'm thinking about this. But I'm thinking like even though he wasn't speaking to me, even though Pastor Jay, that you know how sometimes you just get up here and the words just flow. Then sometimes, guys, in your study, you have to tell yourself to go to bed.
Amen.
But then the other time it feel like, man, it's just anybody ever been there? I don't care how known you get. Ask any pastor if he's honest. And sometimes you just read on obedience. Ain't nothing that you just don't even. You're like, what the no? Because y'all trying to teach you. We don't walk by feelings. Don't live by feelings. You don't read and study or pray. Listen, because you feel like it, or I just feel like praying. No, you pray all the time. Paul said, without ceasing. I'm telling you guys, don't be immature that you just come to the Shabbat when you really feel like energized. No. You come when you don't even feel like it. My wife heard you right now. Huh? I preach when I'm mad at some of y'all. About what I want y'all to do. Listen, if you got a parent that never get mad at what you do and you know you acting up, they don't love you. So you can see why Moses got angry all the time. Moses didn't have no angry issue. Moses was zeal for Yah. He's like, don't you know who you are? One of the things that you have to be mature in is when the Most High seems that he step back and see what you're going to do. See, you've been living on the CD. You want to hear a word all the time. Blah, 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 blah. How about you just get in your car, don't call nobody, don't turn on the radio, and me and you just, meditation. Listen, I know some of you are a long prayer, but y'all say, yeah, but dog, I don't never get to say a word. I mean, can you imagine talking to somebody all day and they're like, yeah, man, I see you later, man. Hold up, man. I'm like, I gotta go now. I'm like, holy, you just had me on the phone for 20 minutes and that's what y'all said. Listen, it's not about how long you pray. He's like, I really for you just come in and just say what you have to say and then sit down and let me talk. But that's discipline. We think that I gotta be in here. How about we just come here next week and just be silent for 30 minutes? Man, I'm telling you, that's not easy. But if you notice that all the people that really went up in the kingdom was always in the back of the desert. Moses could not hear Yah when he was in Egypt. But soon he went to Jethro's house 40 years. Then all of a sudden the revelation came into him. Huh? Well, what is the lesson now? Y'all say, I can't speak to the generation. It's too much noise. It's too much noise. If it ain't the cell phone, it's the Facebook, it's YouTube. okay, get her high blood pressure so she can go to the hospital and stay there for 3 days so I can speak to her. I'm just being honest. I'm just being honest. That's how y'all is like. Man, I've been in bed 3 days. Man, I can't believe that. I just feel that God. Yeah, because he laid you down. Well past. Well past. Especially when you waste a lot of your life in loose living, and then you finally, your eyes is open, and you just like, it take you a while to even stop beating yourself up. Because if y'all really if we really taste and see how good he is, am I right saying? Well, just taste and see how good he is. Is anything too hard? Is anything too hard? That's what he said. Finance, marriage, kids. Just think about it. This is what he's saying to us. He asked the question. Now, listen, he asked them the question, but he's speaking to us. Whatever's going on in our life. He said, is anything too hard? Now, open book test right here. But see, you don't understand. Ain't nobody hiding. You don't understand that I'm stacked up here. You don't understand. No. He said right here. They was well past. Come on. Well past. Other words, he's saying, ain't nothing now. Ain't nothing now.
That's right. Nothing.
And the Most High didn't even say, no, Abraham, it's sure right. I sympathize with you. I sympathize with you. Listen, does not the Bible say that the Most High watches over his word? Am I right? Abraham, I don't care what you say. Huh? I already spoke it. I already spoke it. Say, no. From your own body. From your own body. One is going to come. Let's go back to chapter 17 for a moment. So here's Abraham having this dialogue with the Most High about this covenant, so on and so on. There's a name change. And so now in verse 16, watch this dialogue. He said, and I will bless thee. Go ahead.
And I will bless her and give thee a son also of her. Yeah, I will bless her, and she shall be a mother of nations. Kings of people shall be of her. Now, this is the first time that Sarah is brought into the conversation. The whole time that the Most High was speaking to Abram. Now he brings his wife into the conversation. Now he's speaking. At first he's speaking to Abraham's life. And they said, okay, now Sarah, now she, her. Now she's brought into the conversation. Watch how this works. Go ahead. Verse 17. Then Abraham fell upon his face and laughed and said in his heart, shall a child be born unto him that is 100 years old, and Sarah that is 90 years old bear? And Abraham said unto Elohim, oh, that Ishmael might live before thee. And Elohim said, Sarah thy wife shall bear thee a son indeed.
What I want you to see here, notice how the text letting us know that though Yah is speaking to Abraham, but he's wrestling with the word. He's speaking to him, okay? You can know what the words say, but still be wrestling. Think about that. When we find out the text that there was a famine in Genesis chapter 26, it was a famine in the days of Isaac as it was in the days of Abraham. And the first thing came to Isaac's mind, like I remember my father ran down to Egypt, or today we'll run down to cashapp, we'll run down to, you know what I'm saying, Easy Pond. See all these places? See, why I gotta trust Yah when I can just pawn this TV? Why trust Yah when I can go alone on your car? What you call them places? You know what I'm saying? See. All these things are set up, not really help us, but to cause us to repent on Egypt. See, we run to them. Think about that. Quick pay. Y'all said, nah, you stay right here, Isaac. All this stuff is to teach us. right in the book. So we see that Yah is going to bless Abraham and Sarah. Okay, bring out something else before the. Go ahead and finish that for me on chapter 18.
What is it, 17?
Go back over there.
18 verse
14.
Okay, Is there anything too hard for Jehovah? At the time appointed, I shall return unto thee according to the time of life, and Sarah shall have a son. Then Sarah denied, saying, I laugh not, for she was afraid.
Let's turn over to verse chapter 21.
Yes, sir. Chapter 1.
Yeah, because we went out of time.
Verse 1. And Jehovah visited Sarah as he had said, and Jehovah did unto Sarah as he had spoken. For Sarah conceived and bare Abraham a son in his old age, at the set time of which Elohim had spoken to him. And Abraham called the name of his son that was born unto him, whom Sarah bare to him, Isaac. And Abraham circumcised his son Isaac, being 8 days old, as Elohim had commanded him. And Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born unto him. And Sarah said, Elohim hath made me to laugh, so that all that bear will laugh with me. And she said, who would have said unto Abraham that Sarah would have given children suck? For I have borne him a son in his old age.
That's powerful. These ain't no fable stories. We're writing how the Most High dealt with the building of the nation of Israel. But we have a foundation laid by Abraham and Sarah being the founder of this nation. You understand? Their life is open to us how they went on this journey, 1,500-mile journey. 1,500 miles traveling. And the text never record Sarah fighting them the whole way. Why? Because how can two walk together unless they... So we see the promise fulfilled, but not understanding it's a 25-year promise. This is what I don't get in this fast-paced world. That when we see guys like, let's just use Steve Harvey as an example. We see he's blowing up now. But let's go back. This is like a 20 years in the making. It just seemed like he blew it. No. That's 20 years in the making. And then if you go back through his divorces, his cheating and everything to get where he at now. See, we just see the final work. You see what I'm talking about? So we have to understand that when we look at our father, Abraham and Sarah, our mother, and I'm glad the text tells us, look to them. Look to them as an example, because the world is going to want you to take the shortcut. But y'all say, I don't do it like that. And then Abraham was not going on the divine calling because somebody in Babylon laid hands on him. He wasn't running from Nimrod. He had a divine calling on his life. And when you got a divine calling on your life, it helps you deal with the disappointment and the hard and the setback that's all in the development of our character. We have to understand that Yah, he's working more on me than he's working on y'all. Understand that as a leader. And every person here is a leader in their own way. But when a leader when Yah calls a person, man, he's working on it. It can take years. Learning how to deal with people and not get frustrated and throwing an attack with finance and people leaving and coming, and everything that goes with it. This is my baby. I ain't babysitting. This is my baby. See, everybody can tell you how I do a child. Listen, you just babysitting. Am I right? Oh, I love kids because you're babysitting. As you get older, I love the kid I can babysit and take him back home. You know what I'm saying? We love them kind of kids. But y'all know in our family, we got some kids, they say, girl, I can't babysit her. So If you find a leader just babysitting, guess what's going to happen when you start boo-booing on this parade? He going to leave you. Soon somebody else called him. Have you heard? They hired over there for, man, you know, man, you anointed. Man, you know, you can teach, man. What are you with people, man? Man, that church paying, that church paying $1,500 a week. Think about that. Stuff happens like that. Then he get, you know what I'm saying? He get like, you know, I feel the Lord calling me. You know how they get past it, right? I feel the Lord calling me. Be well when people, you know, I just feel the Lord's calling me. Calling you where? So we see the promise Isaac is here. Don't go by what I say alone. Test what I say with the word. That's why you'll never hear me say that the Lord told me to tell you. He can tell you yourself. You can tell yourself. And one thing about our Yah, he'll never put your business in the street. Think about that. So now that the promise has come, now it's going to shift. I want to show you something. Let's go to Hebrews chapter 11. We'll pick up in verse 8. Israel, a divine call. Verse 8.
Amen?
Amen.
Okay. By faith, Abraham, when he was called to go out into a place which he should after receive for an inheritance, obeyed. And he went out, not knowing whither he went. By faith, he sojourned in the land of promise, as in a strange country, dwelling in tabernacles with Isaac and Jacob.
What is that? With Isaac and who?
And Jacob. The heirs with him of the same promise.
The same promise. What was the promise? Abraham, I will bless thee, and thou shalt be a blessing. And by you all nations shall be blessed. By you all nations shall be blessed. Now watch this here. Let's go to Galatians chapter 3 for a moment. I'll find this verse right quick. Let's pick it up in verse 7. Chapter 3, verse 7.
Galatians chapter 3, verse 7. Know ye therefore that they which are of faith are the same are the children of Abraham.
Meaning trust in Yah. King James should translate as faithfulness. So faithfulness, trusting in the salvation of Yah. Okay, go ahead.
And the scripture, foreseeing that Elohim would justify the heathen through faith, preached before the gospel unto Abraham, saying, in thee shall all nations be blessed.
Did you catch that verse right there? So we can see here that the gospel or the basar, which is the good news, is not a New Testament thing. The gospel is not the death, burial, and the resurrection. The gospel is the kingdom or the son to come. Showing that by faith, that everyone that trusts in the son to come will produce faith or have righteousness as Abraham was. And so it says here, and the scripture foreseeing that Elohim would what? Justify nations. Through what? Faith. Preached before the gospel, in other words, the good news unto Abraham. What? That a son was coming. A redeemed one from Genesis 3:15 that I will put in between your seed and her seed, right? So Abraham was, or this nation that was brought up was to be the carrier to bring this nation or to bring the son, the Hebrew. Very important. understand that the redemption was not in Abraham, but Abraham and Israel was responsible to bring this Mushiach, or this seed, to come. And that's why Israel was always attacked, because they was responsible for bringing the seed of the woman. Go ahead.
Verse 9. So then they which be of faith are blessed with the faithful Abraham. For as many as are of the works of the law under the curse, for it is written, curses everyone that continueth not in all things which are written in the book of the law to do them, but that no man is justified by the law in the sight of Elohim. It is evident for that the just shall live by faith. And the law is not of faith, but the man that doeth them shall live in them. Christ has redeemed us from the curse of the law, being made a curse for us, for it is written, cursed is everyone that hangeth on a tree.
All he's saying, because we broke the Torah. Messiah paid the price for us breaking it. Okay? So in this context, all he's saying that no one is justified. Notice the key term, bro. No one is justified in the sight of Yah by keeping the Sabbath, the feast, or any of that. None of that was ever given for salvation or justification. It's only Messiah. Okay?
That the blessing of Abraham might come on the Gentiles through Yeshua HaMashiach, that we might receive the promise of the Spirit through faith. Brethren, I speak after the manner of men. Though it be but a man's covenant, yet if it be confirmed, no man disannulleth or addeth thereto. Now to Abraham and his seed were the promises made. He hath not, and to seeds as of many, but as of one, and to thy seed, which is Christ.
Right. So the seed that he was talking about was Messiah. So how is the whole world is going to be blessed? Through Messiah, that Yeshua can be traced back to Abraham. Abraham begot Isaac, Isaac begot Jacob, and so on. That's why Matthew opened up like that, giving us a genealogy to prove that Yeshua is the right king, one to rule over the house of David. He is the one that the world will be blessed through. Very important that we understand that context. Let's go back to Genesis. Yeah. Let's do Mike. Let's pick it up in chapter 26, probably 26 or 25. Now, keep in mind what he just read in Hebrews chapter 11, verse 8 through 11, that Abraham and Isaac and Jacob was of the same promise. Meaning that when Isaac came on the scene, he didn't change nothing. When Yaakov came on the scene, he didn't change nothing. They understood, okay? They understood that, listen, I'm walking the same steps, the obedience of Abraham, our father, who is the foundation. Very important. Let's look at the birth of these boys right quick. Let's go to chapter 25, start at verse 19.
And these are the generations, 25 verse 19. And these are the generations of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham begat Isaac, and Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel the Syrian of Panaram, the sister to Laban the Syrian. And Isaac entreated Jehovah for his wife, because she was barren. And Jehovah was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived. And the children struggled together within her. And she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of Jehovah. And Jehovah said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And when the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, they called his name Esau. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took a hold of Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them. And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field. And Jacob,
Okay. So let's stop right here. We're familiar with the story that we know that what happened with Jacob and his mother, how to bless him. But we are told in the text that Esau, that Jacob did not steal his birthright. I'm saying he sold it to it. Esau sold it, right? So we have the text, the evidence to show us that Jacob had the right, Esau sold his birthright, and so on and so on. And so he is chosen. But if you notice this here, that when Jacob had to go on the run because Esau was going to murder him, right? And if you keep in mind, just this orchestrate, this play that's going on right before our eyes, that all these boys, this nation, to become a nation, was all born in exile, on the run. Catch that. Born on the run, in exile. Jacob was in exile. Yes, he was. He wasn't in the land of promise. He was land of promise. Then he had to run to Laban's house, and then he found somebody that's slicker than him. Listen, there's always somebody in the family slicker than you. So he's learning. I think that the Most High allowed us to run into people that's more whatever you and I are, to say, you know what, I don't want to be like that anymore. Think about that. Whatever you are, then you run into somebody that's worse than you, it causes you to think like, do I act like that? See, it doesn't help us until we see ourselves in somebody else. Am I right? So now he goes to Laban's house. And Laban ain't nothing but a prosperity. I mean, he just come about the money. That's all he cares about. But he's slicker than Jacob. But you notice where Jacob learned this stuff from his mama, right? And he knew his mama grew up in that same house, right? So you see, in our community, we got some slick brothers and sisters. Think about that. You think these characters died with us? When we read the text of the Hebrew people and you see the character of cheating and cunning and sleeping with the daddy, this stuff is us. This stuff is in our DNA, passed down. You might not do it, but somebody in the community did it. It's showing us. So we get to see ourselves and say, oh, I don't want to be like that. That's what it does. That's what it does. Is to look at us and it's like, oh my goodness, is that how we behave? So Jacob goes on a run for 20 years in exile. Let's pick it up in chapter 32. Because I'm assuming that everybody has read the portions. It's amazing that when you look at chapter 32, that there is a homecoming, but it's not really a homecoming because it's, when I read this here, every time I always think about this here. Start at verse 1, chapter 32, verse 1. Then I'll bring something out.
And Yaakov went on his way, and the angels of Elohim met him. And when Jacob saw them, he said, this is Elohim's host. And he called the name of that place Mount Menahem. And Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau, his brother, unto the land of Seir, the country of Edom. And he commanded them, saying, thus shall ye speak unto my lord Esau. Thy servant Jacob says thus, I have sojourned with Laban and stayed there until now. I have oxen and asses, flocks and men servants and women servants. And I have sent to tell my lord that I may find grace in thy sight. And the messengers returned to Jacob, saying, we came to thy brother Esau, and also he cometh to meet thee, with 400 men with him. Then Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed, and he divided the people that was with him, and the flocks, and the herds, and the camels into 2 bands.
What's interesting is this here, that we know what Jacob did, right? Though it was divine by Yah, but that don't make it right the way they went about doing it. You see that, Mom? So, but notice this here. He got what he wanted, but if he would have knew that he was going to be in exile for 20 years from his family, from his community, I think he would have thought about that. Because his mama said, now, go on to my family house, and when your brother Angel has passed, I fetch for it. Can you imagine him like, when mama coming? Think about that. Here's a family divided over a birthright. Now, I got to live in exile, you know, and knowing in the back of my mind what took place, and knowing that when you left the house, all you heard that your brother gonna kill you. That's the last thing. I mean, that's what you on your journey you running. And I can imagine, Pastor Jay, that if these are human people, have you ever did something, then after the heat is down, you're like, man, that wasn't even worth it. Though I got what I wanted, but look what it cost me. And it's amazing that after 20 years, as he's heading back, okay, he's heading back home, but that's some unfinished business. I don't know if any of you have, you know, family reunions and something happened at the last one, and you ain't been in 5 years, and all of a sudden you decide to go, and you forgot for a second until you got halfway, and then until you saw her or saw him, then all of a sudden they come back. Now, you struggling, you don't know if you want to go or stay. So think about what's happening here. Esau or Jacob, before he goes into the land or the land of promise, he got to deal with some unfinished business. See, y'all ain't going to let us escape just because I've been preaching for 20 years. No, what you did back there? No. If you was creeping and you got a baby, you pay child support. But what if my wife see what's coming out? You wouldn't think about that in the dark. You see what I'm talking about? So just because I'm a teacher, I'm a preacher, whatever, I don't care if it's 20 years, surely your sins will find you out. And if we got family issues, then we got to deal with it. It ain't going to go by you speaking in tongues. I bind the devil say, I had nothing to do with that. But watch this here. This is a prophecy here that between Esau and Jacob, that before Yaakov goes back into the land, he got to deal with Esau. Watch this here. I'm going to show you something here. Let's go to Jeremiah. Jeremiah chapter 30. Keep that in mind. Because Jacob was so scared that he divided the camp. Esau coming with not 10 men, 400. Now we know that 40 in the Bible means what? This is the huge test then. This thing is so elevated. So heading back into the land, right? Let's start at chapter 30, verse 1. Watch this here.
And the word that came to Jeremiah from Jehovah, saying, Thus speaketh Jehovah Elohim of Israel, saying, Write thee all the words that I have spoken unto thee in a book. Mm-hmm. For lo, the days come, says Jehovah, that I will bring again the captivity of my people Israel and Judah, says the Lord. Says Jehovah, and I will cause them to return to the land that I give to their fathers, and they shall possess it.
Now watch this here. This is a prophecy. So Judah and Israel is scattered, but he said, listen, I'm going to bring them back. I'm going to cause them to return. Keep that in mind. Jacob is returning. Israel and Judah will return. Watch this here. Go ahead.
And these are the words that Jehovah spake concerning Israel and concerning Judah. But thus says Jehovah, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. And ye ask now, and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins, as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. Alas, for the day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved.
You see that? So what the text is telling us, keep in mind that Genesis is a book of prophecy. What happened to the father will happen to the children in the future. So just as our father went down to Egypt and then Pharaoh took Sarah, got plagued. Abimelech did the same thing, got plagued. So Yah is showing us in the book of prophecy that there's another time that I scattered them, but I'm going to bring them back. But don't you forget that Esau is going to be your enemy. And Esau is mixed up in the nation. That this thing that's happening right before our eyes is not going to be easy. I'm telling you, it's not going to be easy. Because after a while, that Esau is going to show himself. And keep in mind that Esau lived by the sword. Esau loved to shed blood. So we're going to have to be understanding this thing here. This ain't no going to be, right now it's kind of pretty right now. We meet together, all this kind of stuff. No. This thing is going to intensify. And you have to be understanding what's happening before us and what's going to keep us calm, and secure that Yah is with us. Amen. Prophecy helps us to realize that it's happening right before our eyes. So now if Israel and Judah has been awakening right now, then people are talking about returning, okay? Well, guess who we got to deal with? This birthright thing ain't going nowhere. Okay, it's not going nowhere. All that old nice stuff about the rapture and all that kind of stuff, let's talk about that. It's a war coming. There's a war coming. Listen, this prophecy right here. So if we understand what happened to Jacob, okay, so if Yah would not have split us as a nation, even though we see Solomon did it, but it was Yah. Why? To show us that I got to divide the house. Because if everybody in the same boat going down, I ain't got nobody. Think about that. This is a book of prophecy. So you say, you know what? I don't want to be a part of that. I just want to just believe in Jesus. I don't believe in all that kind of stuff. I don't believe that God will allow us to go through stuff and I be persecuted for the word and my head is cut. I don't believe all that stuff. Okay. You don't believe the Bible then. Who's those souls under the altar crying? Saying, avenge us. No. Or did they say pray for them? Say, avenge us. Esau is not going to have no mercy. And don't get to tripping on Esau being the white man, all this stuff. Esau, listen, he sowed his seed in anybody that will take it. Right. I'm just telling the truth. He's mixed. Because why? That's how you hide. Why do the scholars talk about everybody in the Bible, but they won't talk about Esau? Ask them that. They know who everybody is in the world, but won't tell you who Esau is. So we see that what is taking place here. We see that Yaakov, okay? Understand that what is going on. A few more verses and we're about to land this plane. Let's go back. Like I said before, guys, it ain't about fear. It's just knowing that there's an arch enemy out there. The dragon, okay? The serpent, the beast that wants to destroy the seed. Because Israel remind him of his destination, which is hell. So as Jacob divided the people, chapter 32, verse 22. So as he separated the people,
and he rose up that night and took his 2 wives and his 2 women servants and his 11 sons and passed over the ford Jabbok. And he took them and sent them over the brook and sent over that he had. And Jacob was left alone.
He was what?
Left alone.
Left alone. Think about this. Left alone. See, Jacob understood that, listen, my family didn't have nothing to do with this here. Let me give them an opportunity to escape, but I got to deal with this here. He said, he was left alone. There's sometimes, Mike, as men, that we need to be alone. Listen, ladies, it's not that we don't love y'all, we don't want to be around you. There's sometimes we need to be alone. We ain't mad at y'all. We just mad at ourselves about something. Believe me, we go through stuff like that. And listen, we have time for the month too. I'm just being honest. We do. We can get frustrated. You know what I'm saying? We can get frustrated because, listen, I don't know about y'all, but it's just the way that life deals with you. And he's like, can I just give my wife just a smooth month where she ain't got to worry about nothing? Can I just have that? That she won't be stressed out. Can I just get a smooth month where we got like this? That's what I'm talking about. We can care less. It's when we see our wives. I don't care if I got but a dollar. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's our wives that when we look at them. So there are times that we do want to be alone because while we're trying to think of a master plan. That's all we're thinking about, a master plan. So Jacob is left alone, and go ahead.
And there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touches the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint. And he wrestled with him. And he said, let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let thee go except thou bless me. And he said unto him, what is thy name? He said, Jacob. And he said, thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. As for a prince, thou hast power with Elohim and with men, and hast prevailed. And Jacob asked him and said, tell me, I pray thee, thy name. And he said, wherefore is it that thou dost ask after my name? And he blessed him there. And Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen Elohim face to face, and my life is preserved.
Powerful right there. Remember, he's left alone. You know, it's easy to go through things in life when you got your homeboy, you know what I'm saying, your road dog or your girlfriend. It's easy to go through certain things, but guys, it's going to be time that you're going to have to be alone. Okay, your girlfriend can't talk you out of this. She can't comfort you. Because why? Y'all want us to deal with things in our life because it is in the solitary in the back of the desert that y'all can speak to you. And I'm afraid that we live in a generation that don't want to be alone. Don't want to hear the voice. Because if you ever just spend time, I'm telling you, 30 minutes, I mean, you just, oh man, it takes real. I'm going to be honest with you. It takes you, if you're really going to be a woman, a man, a prayer, it takes time for you. The most disciplined thing is shut up. I'm telling you, it's being quiet. Master, I'm hurting. What should I do? And don't say nothing else. And sit there just listening. I tell you, that's very difficult. That's discipline. But that's how y'all speak. Elijah showed us that. Was it in the thunder? Was it the lightning? No, it was what? See, there's too much noise going on in our mind. Soon we get home, turn on the TV. Soon we get in the car, turn them on. I'm telling you, I'm trying to help somebody. I'm learning that myself. It's learning to be quiet in this world that's trying to tune out the spirit of Yah. How in the world can I really have an intimate relationship with my wife when I got let's use an example that she tried to have an intimate relationship with me, and I got my homeboy, I got my brother over, I got my cousin sitting down every weekend, every time she get out, like, what kind of intimate is that? Well, I want to spend time with you. Well, who's Pookie? Who's Ray Ray? Who, you know what I'm saying? After a while, she be saying, I think you better call me. But y'all understand what I'm talking about? That if we cannot do that, in a real woman ain't gonna put up with that mess. After a while, she'll say, if you want to be with Pookie, then we'll go Pookie. After a while. Then you wonder why she's going shopping a lot. Ain't coming back with no bags. Huh? Think about that. Y'all say, I'll holler at you later when you got time for me. Because I ain't like that. So here's Jacob alone by himself dealing with an issue in his life. That's not a person in here. It might not be someone want to kill you, either to threaten you, or take your life. Finance could be trying to take you out. Fear could be trying to take you out. Doubt, frustration, depression. Feel like it's chasing you, running you down. I mean, I can run away from him, but I can't run away from me. Think about that. And so I don't want to spend the rest of my life in exile knowing that I want to go back home, because ain't no place like home. Amen. And so if the Most High calling you to come back home, you say, no, I've been in exile. I've been missing in action. Come on back home. And you got to wrestle with that man, that woman that's in you. You say, I know I should be coming back home. I know I need to come back home. Come on back. I'm telling you, this is real stuff. This is real stuff. And if you in the house and you wrestling with some stuff, and you've been wrestling with it, and if you need help, maybe this thing is too strong for you, then find you a sister or brother and say, you know what, I've been dealing with this thing, I've been wrestling with it. Can you stand in agreement with me? Amen. Think about that. Think about that. This is real here. We can look at the life of the patriarchs dealing with certain things, which we ain't gonna even get a chance. Look how our nation was put together with the most dysfunctional family I ever seen. Y'all think that we dysfunctional? Look at this here. Now, I mean, I know we might, maybe have some relatives that I don't want to see, but talking about selling it as a slave? I mean, we have stuff about us, man. So what you dealing with that is not in the book? Think about that. Then we move from Jacob to the 12 tribes, into Joseph being sold into Israel, all because he has a vision, and then the family mad because you got a vision and they just tired of working at this job. He come again, he's talking about what the Lord told him to do. People in your life, you probably want to stop telling certain family members about your vision. I'm just being honest. Because these people set up plots. Joseph was too young to realize that you can't tell that your brothers don't have issues with you. But all that was planned too. All that was planned. Joseph realized that. Guys, that's not an incident in our life, whether we made it or didn't make it. That is not, what's what I was dealing with the other day, that I'm glad that he's the author and the finisher. You understand? Meaning that I want to leave such a room to say, okay, we want to do this to the building. We want to do this here. But then I can hear James voicing now, ye who say, do this or do that. Okay, that's good. But let's say that if the Lord will. So other words, James said, listen, I know you might have 20/20 vision of doing things in your life. That's good. Plan. But don't forget to leave room for him. To say, Master, I know what I desire and want, but you are the author and the finisher. You are the author and the finisher. See, they even teach us to do the book even justice. We will have to do an expository. That means chapter by chapter, verse by verse. And in the future, we'll be able to do that. Okay? So that we can get what Genesis is trying to bring out to us. The lesson that's in the text. We don't have to make it up. We can read the text. We can see how the dysfunction happened. We can see the cunning, conniving between the mother and the son. This mother, I mean, just think about that. Deceiving the father. Have you ever deceived your father? I'm about your earthly father. You say, no. Well, how about your heavenly father? You deceiving him and thinking you this, but we really not that. See, because we have one father. And if we don't love one another, like the Father said, and respect one another, appreciate one another, then Father's not happy with that. He's really not. You know, he said that we are one Father. The Mushak said, when you pray, you know, don't pray for no Cadillacs. Don't pray for none of that stuff. Pray our Father. He's our Father. He shows us how to love one another, to be kind to one another, to support one another. He said, even if a stranger comes, you better not treat him like one. Huh? Everything that the world is doing, that's cool. But in our community, we have, what would I call it? We have things where we help the community. If you clean your field, leave that there for them, strangers and the sojourners. So all those things, guys, that if we get back to the book, it'll be a community that people will say, where you got this stuff from? The book. You see what I'm talking about? So y'all need some people that call by his name to begin to operate in this thing here. So that when people come to the Moedim, you know what I'm saying, the Moedim, and they see the place and they see different people, different colors and all that kind of stuff, they're like, this is different. I just sense the spirit is different. That's what people are looking for, Israel. That's what people are looking for, genuine stuff. So Israel, we're here to serve. Every time we have a Moedim, we ain't here to serve one another. I mean, everybody's on board. We're here to serve those who y'all bring to the Moedim, because the world has not seen that yet. The world has not seen that yet. So I pray that as we move forward in our time of preparing for Passover, that you will ask y'all to give me a servant heart, you know, go to Sister Karen, find out what you do with Mike, you know, Sister Sharon, and everybody, let's get on board, you know, and let's be y'all hands and eyes and feet and so on and so on, that he be glorified, as he said, that you are the light of the world. But if we lose our light, our salt, then what good are we for? So keep in mind, Israel, the divine calling. We have a divine calling upon us. Everyone who's called by that name. Let us, Yasa, let us walk upright, let's walk straight, not crooked. Let's love each other with genuine. Let's be kind and faithful to one another, because the Father loves that. Loves that. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. And he started. I just wanted us to, you know, take our time. I mean, right now, where I'm at in my journey, it's not that we need a lot of information. We just need a lot of applications. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, as I'm thinking, like, man, I mean, it's the fruit. You know what I'm saying? It's I want to see the fruit of this thing. You know, y'all don't need no more revelation. I mean, I can do this stuff. I mean, so of course I can do this stuff easy, but it's taking the application and applying it. That's where we're going to grow. That's what we're going to do.